Hi, Athens. Welcome to Kaleidoscope. This is your bug-eyed hostess, Nan Michael, welcoming you today and demonstrating some of our new equipment at Access. You have noticed that we end with a serious topic on Kaleidoscope these days. I hope you don't mind us not waving cheerfully at the end, because things are tough all over. Wah. This was supposed to be a funny picture, and here I am, funny Nan. That black mark up there is from when I fell this week, so it's not dirt. I'll try for another funnier face. Coming up, we have a little footage from the Mothman festival in Point Pleasant. It was a gas. It was a gas. Hope you enjoy it, and you'll find the entire footage on Athens Showcase this week. Next week, Jane and I will welcome you on a different program, a different version of Athens Kaleidoscope, that is. We're just a good pair. She's Motormouth and I'm Crone. And so I'm going to demonstrate a few more of these effects down at Access, if I can. It's true, I've put on a little weight. But don't tell my doctor. Please, please, pretty please. Got a new hairdo in the process. I'm all excited here, not having to look my best today. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe I should have waited for Halloween, huh? Bless my soul, what do we have here? I'm hoping this week to bring you an interview with a great couple in Athens, if this doesn't scare them away. Theirs won't be scared away, do you think? No. We did have fun at an open house for volunteers this week, and it was Volunteer Appreciation Day, so we are appreciated, just like those t-shirts at now let's see, what was it? It's Walmart. Their folks have t-shirts that say, I am appreciated. And that just makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. Now back to reality. Hi, Athens. That was fun. Not many people would be willing to show themselves in such a contorted fashion. But I need to tell you that I think Jane and I must be soul sisters, because after not communicating with each other for more than a week, this morning we both sent each other an email at the very same time. So she will be here on the next show, and I look forward to her. Today you're going to have to struggle with me and my mind-finding limitations. The big news to me this week was the A News selling. And initially, the headline on the news, the great big headline, was "News Sells." And I was going to say, "News sells out," and be critical of them, because it really takes away from the ambience of Athens, I think. But then someone pointed out that the owners were certainly entitled to the returns on their investment after years, and I had to agree with that. Couldn't expect them to donate the paper to the public. Then I realized that the fracking folks, who include me, expect landowners to donate their possible gains from fracking to the cause. I think we ought to have a board of champions, or some kind of awards listing for people that own a lot of property and who are willing not to frack, making that donation to the future. So, for what it's worth, that's what came to me. We had an open house here at Access on Volunteers Appreciation Day last Thursday, and we couldn't run without volunteers, because that's what we are. All these programs are by volunteers. Sometimes I think people don't realize that, but it's true. And after the open house, we had a meeting with volunteers who agreed upon new scheduling. And on October the 8th, I'm happy to announce that Kaleidoscope will be on in a row 5 days a week at 10 p.m. at night. It's been a problem for me. When someone's on as a guest, they want to know when they can see the show. And with my memory, it's very hard to explain from day to day when the schedule's going to be. But beginning October the 8th, it will be on 5 days a week at 10 p.m. And there are some other regular shows that are going to appear also, but I won't test your memory by telling you all of them. Bob Whaley attended the open house and played with the gadget that I opened this show with and seemed to enjoy it, but he said it was a toy for kids and was surprised we had it, that it must have cost money. And let me straighten that out, that it came with our new computer to replace one that was completely broken and without charge. So it's here if any of you kids want to play with it, or you folks that are young at heart. I want to apologize to a woman that I ran into in the waiting room at Dr. Gao's office Monday. She recognized me and smiled, and I smiled back. But then we got shy and we didn't clarify how we knew each other. And it has come to me the possibility that that was Mrs. Swisher, who had open heart surgery the same day I had it last November. So, Mrs. Swisher, if that was you, hi and sorry. We both were too shy to clarify that. When I sign off in just a minute, it's going to be the last time you're going to see me today, because we have such a filled showcase of various videos that came in this week, that we taped this week. It's been a very active week or two, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm not even going to say goodbye at the end, and we're just going to let her roll until next week when Jane returns. This is Nan Michael. Well, I lied. I didn't mean to lie, and I don't usually have flowers on Kaleidoscope, but these flowers are outside the Express Clinic on West Union, and when I came out the door of the medical lab there, I was struck by this beautiful clump of flowers, and I even caught a bee from time to time. They were just breathtaking. If you drive by, you might take a look. They're still beautiful. Incidentally, I've been referred to OU's Balance Clinic, and next week I'll give a report on what that's like. You can see this is not dirt on my forehead. Sometimes I take a tumble. I put the bees on slow motion so they would be around a minute. There goes one. I can't even tell you the kind of flowers those are, because I am challenged as far as flower names are concerned. They might be gladiolas or something, I don't know. That's a busy little bee there. Flying like a helicopter, it looks like. Usually I don't have things like flowers, but I must admit I have things like babies and young kids. On Kaleidoscope. Fortunately, I had my camera with me. There's a little action as the wind blows. All right.
Well, now we get to remember our good friend Art Gish. And in his honor, we would like to have Heather Cantino and Dick McGinn come up and introduce this year's recipient, Christine Hughes.
Well, it's a great honor both to recognize Art Gish, who was a good friend of mine and whom I saw grow as a peacemaker, as a person over the 20 or so years I knew him. And it is a great honor to recognize Christine Hughes, whom I'm sure you all know. I first heard about Christine or saw her work on fracking when she started a monthly gathering at the bakery in 2010, before most of us knew what the word meant, certainly didn't see it as a threat locally. And then since that time, I've worked very closely with her. Christine has been an amazing colleague, a mentor, a role model, and she is a visionary. For people who don't know her, it's wonderful to work with her, work alongside her. If I'm encountering a problem, maybe strategically thinking about working through a particular situation, I just have to think, what would Christine do in this situation? I won't go through all she's been involved in. I think Dick may mention a little, and maybe Christine will. But I'd just like to say that her positive energy, her sense of humor have been invaluable, and her leadership, the most recent thing that I've been involved in through her leadership is working on the Fitzgerald campaign for governor, and we would like to pass around a sign-up sheet if you would like to volunteer. Christine organized a group, particularly of fractivists, but people concerned about education and women's issues. In May, I think we started meeting, and we've been meeting regularly. We've visited with Sharon Newhart, and now we seem to be the people who are leading the effort at the newly opened county board, county Democratic headquarters, and have been trained to do all of the data entry and so on. So if you would like to sign up, even just for a couple of hours over the next 4 or 5 weeks, whatever we have left, to do some calling, to do some canvassing. Jana Lee is organizing canvassing with staging from her home. And we have the key to the office, and we'll be there Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 5:30 to 8. And students are spending some time there. So if you give us your email and tell us your interest in canvassing, calling, data entry, please help us. This is a huge grassroots effort. There are enough Democrats in the state to make this happen, but we need to get people mobilized really quickly, and all of you participating. So without further ado, no, Dick, thank you.
Well, it's a great honor to be here to follow Heather Cantino. Heather is one of the major leaders in this movement to protect our environment from the pollution from fracking and other activities that are just simply not wanted in this community. 2 years ago, APJN actually gave an award to fractivists in general, and many of you are here tonight. The first person we called was Heather, and she said, make it general, make it, there's so many people working on this. It's difficult to pick somebody out. But this year really everybody agreed. Christine is the one that we want to recognize, not just because she works in the anti-fracking, the anti-pollution effort, but because she's involved with so many other activities. I'm proud to say that she's a member of the Bill of Rights Committee. She's also a member of ACFAN. She's also a member of Appalachia Resist, and she works with all of these groups, and she works tirelessly to bring us together. So that's an extremely important thing. Just before I forget, there are some yard signs here that you can pick up. Vote yes on issue 7. This is just for the city of Athens, so if you live in Athens City, you're welcome to take one of those signs. I just want to read a statement, because if I get started, I don't stop, according to my friends. Christine is the only board member who also is active in all the other anti-fracking groups. The groups have different methods, it is true, but Christine works equally with them all. One of the groups does not hesitate to take direct action, which sometimes ends with arrests and jail time. That was a tactic Art Gish specialized in. In 1991, my own daughter, Colleen, was arrested together with Art and 103 other Athenians protesting Bush 41's invasion of Iraq. Christine has also followed in the American tradition of civil disobedience. She, with 7 others, was arrested last spring protesting a Class 2 injection well in Troy Township. If I may quote from Art Gish from his last book, published posthumously, Muslim, Christian, and Jew. He says, each community has established its own boundaries. There may be good reasons for those boundaries, and they need to be respected. We need to remember, however, that those boundaries are artificial boundaries. It's essential that those boundaries not be elevated above the call to love our neighbor. It is fitting that we honor Christine for her unique ability to work with everybody and keep her eye on the prize. She is a lot like Art in that way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to join together with Heather and all of the APJN board in honoring our friend Christine Hughes, who is recipient of the Art Gish Award for 2014.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor, incredible honor. It's never anything that I would have thought I would see, something like this, to come after such great people who have concentrated on such important peacemaking efforts in their lifetime. And I feel like I came into this accidentally. Most of you know probably that my background is food. You know, I'm really, when I came to Athens, I found out all about the local food and the farms around us, and learning about how our actions and our purchases and what we cook and what we buy at the farmers market is, you know, connected exactly to the environment around us. So the farms that we depend on are also dependent on us to keep them, you know, healthy and going. And then, so the fracking in particular was a kind of a direct blow, I felt, to this movement that had been growing since before I was here. But it is a perfect way to get so many of us involved, because so many of us are participating in that already. And so it was kind of a natural evolution that those of us who were fighting for real food, good food for everyone, now are kind of the same people, and even more so now. The movement has grown with the climate change science coming out in the last few years, things that we weren't really talking about in relation to food and water and climate. So it feels like it's a perfect storm. And I just wanted to remember a couple of things that early on, seeing Elise in the audience, remember our 4th of July parade. One of our first efforts was, you know, just celebrating renewable energy and fighting the fracking in the state parks that we felt was coming soon. But it was a small group. It was probably maybe 20 of us marching in the Athens parade. And, you know, there's so many different things that we've done, and the humor that Heather mentioned, it's coming from so many people, but that definitely keeps us going when we can bring our creativity into it. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's really fun to fight fracking. So. It's no work at all. And I guess I just wanted to say that I wanted to remind myself and to remind all of you, because I know I forget. I just forgot again last night at another event that while we're fighting so hard and trying to shut down and starve the out-of-control runaway train that is, corporate control, capitalism that feeds our government and government feeds off of it. While we're working to starve that, we have to remember to nourish ourselves and our community and to keep pouring the love into what we have here, because that's why we're here. That's why we're fighting this fight, and that's why we're all here together. And thank you so much for this honor. It's such a pleasure working with you.
The differences. We believe in one God, and it is the test on each one of us to prove that we can be one in His eyes and He is one in ours. Thank you very much.
I see you've lit your candles. Hey, that was backwards. That explains a lot. I want you to look at the flame that you hold and think about where you got it. Most of you received the flame from someone else here. The flame that was passed from hand to hand, from candle to candle. Our lives are like that. They're gifts. Given to us by the grace of the great whole of which we are all a part, given to us by the courage and the dedication and the love of the people whose lives gave rise to our own. And I want you, as we enter into a moment of silent remembrance of those who died 13 years ago on this day, I want you to think on the gift that their lives were. To give thanks for the lives that they had, and to allow your heart to grieve for each life that was lost. Let us be in silence. Amen. Blessed be. At the start of our time together this evening, you heard me say, it starts here. It starts in our hearts. And as I look out, what I see tells me that it has started. And that's important, that's huge. That peace that we need, that we crave, that we seek to bring to this world has started, and it started in our hearts. A colleague of mine, a Unitarian Universalist minister named Douglas Taylor, said, it starts here, but it can't stay here. He meant it has to move out. It begins within us, but we have to find ways to give it expression, to bring it forth into the world, to help the world to see this vision, to help the world to realize this dream. It starts here, but it can't stay here. So now, tonight, right here, I want you to help me bring it out. Just a little bit. And we're going to start bringing it out by singing. I'm going to change things up a little bit here. You have lyrics on your quarter sheet. Hold on to them, but that is not the song we're going to sing right now. The song we're going to sing right now is going to be familiar to some of you, and for those of you who don't know it, it is super easy to learn. And I'm gonna begin teaching you, and then y'all are gonna teach each other, and we're gonna sing it together. It's called "I've Got Peace Like a River." I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. But I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. That's what's in here. And what's in here is what gives us the strength and the determination and the capacity to bring it out together. It's a long road. Walking it traveling it takes a long time. And it takes the strength that only comes with walking it together. Now I want you to sing the song whose lyrics are on the quarter sheet that you have. Again, it's an easy song. If you don't know what's going on, wait a minute, you'll figure it out, and you join right in. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere. I want you to hold on to those quarter sheets, keep them with you. Pay attention to the events on the other side, the upcoming Better Together events. And come out and join us for those events as well. An evening like this can only come to the community through the gifts and energies of so many people. Right now I want especially to mention and to thank the co-sponsors of the Interfaith Peace Walk, United Campus Ministry, the University College at Ohio University, the Office of the Vice Provost for Diversity and Inclusion, the Athens Catholic Community, Athens First Presbyterian Church, Athens Friends Meeting, Christ Lutheran Church, the Episcopal Church of the Good Shepherd, First Christian Church Disciples of Christ, First United Methodist Church, Hillel at Ohio University, the Muslim Student Association, and the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Athens. Thanks to all of you for supporting this event and making it possible and showing us by your presence and by your help how much you value our shared vision. And finally, thanks to all of you for joining us on this 4th annual Interfaith Peace Walk. Your being here together has soothed and filled my sore heart. I hope it has yours too. Please stay if you can to enjoy the hospitality of our hosts here at the Islamic Center. Please return or otherwise take care of your candles. And when you go, take this blessing with you. May peace be with you. May peace be upon you. May peace be among you. May peace be the gift you carry away from this walk. And may you share it extravagantly, courageously, insistently, without ceasing, in the world that needs it so much. Bless you all. Thanks for being here. Have a great night.
And now you're going to hear from none other than Mary Beth Tinker herself.
Controversy? That could never happen here, right? It's Ohio, nothing really controversial happens. Yeah, I was a little worried about coming over here. I was wondering, what am I getting into? But it couldn't be worse than what happened in Puyallup, Washington with the high school. But we're going to get into that later. It's okay. So anyway, yes, controversy is good for education, and it's good for democracy. Do you think so? Yeah, come on. Why not? Why not? It does make life interesting. But it can be a little uncomfortable sometimes. You think so? And it can make you unpopular. It can be a little dangerous even sometimes because, some people don't always like what they hear and they want to suppress that and they don't want to, have others have their say. So that's not right. In our democracy, we believe in everybody having a say. And so that's kind of how I've lived my life. I started out at a very young age, speaking up and standing up. Well, I won't count that time when I was 2 or 3 years old. But anyway, there were times when my dad would, really give us the example. And he was a preacher at the Methodist Church. So, of course, he would be up here at the pulpit, talking about the prodigal son and the love of Jesus. And we would be singing, and what were those songs we like to sing so much? Come on, all you church people. I know I'm in Ohio. I'm from Missouri. Yeah, I know you've got a few out there. What were some of those great songs? Which one? I was singing one this morning earlier. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. Ever heard that one? Yeah, I'd say so. By the way, what was that? That song was created because in protest to slavery, right? Yeah, I found that out later. People of faith all through history have been speaking up and standing up and putting their faith into action. Doesn't always make us popular. And that's okay because we're not running a popularity contest here. It's like Dr. Stewart said, journalism is not a popularity contest either. We're trying to make a better world, grow the world, make it better. It doesn't always make you popular, the whole thing, except for there's a group called the American Civil Liberties Union, which is not always so popular. You're like, not always? Because why? Because they stand up for the Bill of Rights. That's their whole thing. If you speak up for your Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution especially for who? The very popular majority opinion or the unpopular minority opinion? Who is it really, really good for? The unpopular ones, the minority. I mean, our position was very unpopular. That kind of continued my whole life, but let's not get into that. But it's for the unpopular ones. That's why we need free speech. That's why we need a First Amendment. If what you're saying is so popular, there's no problem there, right? So yes, we have a First Amendment for the unpopular minority opinion, and the ACLU stands up for that, and it makes them kind of unpopular themselves sometimes. But they came and they offered my parents some help, and they said, we don't really think that's right. We think kids should have rights too. And the ACLU goes to the Supreme Court more than any organization in the United States, ever. They've been involved with some of the most important cases in the U.S., like the Miranda decision, saying that you have to hear your rights when you're arrested and things like that.
well, we could talk about some of those other cases, but regardless, they came and asked my parents for some help, and they said, first you have to go to the school board and try to change their mind, try to negotiate, because of course you always have to negotiate, first step. We're not just going to rush off to court. And so we did. We went over to the school board and tried to change their mind, and that's me and my mother and my dad, Reverend Tinker, behind us. And that's Chris. She has her armband. She got suspended, and Ross. That school board meeting was packed. It really shows, controversy does bring out the people, People found out where the school board building was, and they got there. It's kind of like your little controversy here. A student this morning told me, well, I do know now that there is a student senate. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, hey, have succeeded in that. So yeah, people found out there is a school board, and we know where it is now. And they came out there, and they were, some people were saying, these communists should not be allowed to break the rules of the school. And other people were saying, well, they should have their rights, and the kids even from the high school. I didn't speak up. I was too shy. Come on, it took me years. But a lot of kids did speak up, and they said, we weren't hurting anyone. We were just saying that we're sad about the war. We were just mourning for the dead. One thing that made it so controversial was that we were mourning for the dead on both sides of the war. Maybe if we were just mourning for the American troops, it would have been okay. And so we argued back and forth, and it was a packed school board meeting, but the school board basically, wouldn't change their rule. 2 people did vote for us, but we were outvoted. So then the ACLU said, well, we're going to have to go to court with this because we have these 3 branches of government, and they're supposed to check each other, and sometimes the judicial branch does have to check the branch that does something that we think is against the Constitution. And the schools act like one branch of government, the public schools, because they make rules, they're paid for with taxes. And there's Chris Eckhart, that sweet boy. He was in 10th grade, like my brother. He just died last year. He got so much hassle at Roosevelt High School when he wore his armband because he knew about something called civil disobedience. I didn't know anything about it, but he had heard about it. I guess he studied a little harder than I did, his social studies. So he went right into the office and sat right down that morning and said, I'm here, I'm wearing my armband. So the vice principal came in and the school counselor, and the vice principal said, do you want to get a broken nose? And he later said in court, I told these guys this, he said, I wasn't threatening to break his nose, I was just asking him if he wanted a broken nose. And the counselor said he'd never go to college because he'd never be admitted and all this kind of stuff. And some boy hit him. And, it's really great. I have to hand it to football players, too. I know there's been a lot of controversy against football players lately. But while Chris was getting hassled in there, the football players came up and said, now, wait a minute, to the other students were hassling him, too, and said to the students, now, wait a minute, Chris, we may not agree with what Chris's position is, but we do have rights in our country. He has a right to his opinion. So I said, go football players, all right. And it also helps that they're like 200 pounds, Yeah, that comes in handy sometimes. So that's sweet Chris Eckhart and his parents. That's me with my little flip, It's probably why the newspapers and the magazines always wanted to talk to me. It was that flip. That's what I figured out later. I was like, why did you don't talk to my brother? They said, no, we want to talk to you. That was us right before the appeals case, because when the ACLU took it to court, we lost at the district level, we lost at the appeals level. Of course, I thought we're going to lose because kids don't have any rights. But amazingly enough, when I was a junior in high school, when I was just 16 years old, the Supreme Court ruled by 7-2 that neither students or teachers, all of the teachers out there, neither students or teachers give up their rights when they enter the schoolhouse gate. And they said that in this wonderful ruling by Abe Fortas, which says that, yes, it's going to be an uncomfortable thing sometimes, and yes, there is a risk even of disruption sometimes. But those are risks that we're willing to take in our democracy. in order to have freedom of speech and in order to have democracy. And so I was so surprised and happy that we won, and I was really surprised that like Time Magazine and Newsweek Magazine cared, and the New York, this is the front page of the New York Times.
And I just sat there and put my thoughts down. Again, this is not an attempt to be poetic, it's just responding to September 1. I sit at my desk in disorder and confused, certain now of bad faith all around, and all fanciful hopes expired as the bombs and rockets are loaded onto planes and men and women are called to shoot at one another. September 1st, 1939 relives. A new set of people have ill-gotten gains to protect. Others have anger and anguish so extreme as to enchant destruction and suicide, and hate burns on all sides, extinguishing common sense and common human sensibility. How many good people have preached peace and lived together in sensitivity, finding common comfort in the secular belief of loving and being entwined with others in community and caring? Many, but not enough. Hear the cries for democracy and freedom and look at those political leaders who make these claims and accusations while picturing liberty for themselves and pointing to the shortcomings of others who then deserve what they get as the bombs and rifles are loaded and the whistle sounds for over the top. Do we all sit lamenting those evils, taking refuge with a walk in the woods and treasuring thoughts that may come with meditation or the pacific thoughts of holiness? The mass are given the vote, but use it only to say, yeah, with those who ridicule and send self-defensive hate to be translated into political position and advertised for election day. There is decency and humanity out there. There are many giving voice, but those voices, calm, pleading, sentimental, soft, are drowned out by arm-waving and explosiveness, those shouting a simplistic answer, though unthinking and disgustingly wrong. As our species lays waste to this globe and its inhabitants, we are given juvenile stories to make sacred, and to propagate them we are given toys of addictive fascination which put the majority to sleep while the self-interested send our sons and daughters to war. These self-proclaimed patriots, instead of joining all in peace, find those among us who can be exploited and then hate and demean them when they express the inevitable reaction to being exploited, ignored, demeaned. Great loss fosters depression, and depression anger, and then anger shared by many to mob violence and sanctioned brutality. And brutality calls inevitably for brutality in return, masked in high phrases, drones launched by those in well-tailored suits and a good haircut. In the face of those high phrases, Auden's 1939 flame affirming human hope flickers and sputters as it nears dying.